Why? Why are we seeing this change in our culture's attitude? Is it because the Supreme Court is leading the way? Is it because Hollywood is forging new paths for us to traverse? No, it's because there's a battle going on here.
Deuteronomy chapter 22, I'll just read it to you, verse 5. A woman shall not wear man's clothing. Is that hard to understand? A woman shall not wear man's clothing, nor shall a man put on a woman's clothing. For whoever does these things is an abomination to the Lord your God. Transvestism, as it used to be called, is not new. By the way, it is an abomination. That abomination is the exact same word used in Leviticus 18 to refer to homosexuality. There were men who wanted to dress like women then. There were women who wanted to dress like men. Actually, Deuteronomy 22:5 is more general than clothing. The Hebrew actually says that it's not right to wear or to take onto oneself that which appertains to a man. Anything that is male, a female should not adopt. Anything that is female, a male should not adopt.
What once was clear is now debated and now is even flaunted. So what's going on? What's happening in our country? We need to remember, while we are not a dualistic universe, this is not a battle between God and Satan as if, let's bite our nails and wait and see how this one is going to turn out in our big cosmic cage match. No, the devil is God's devil, and yet people who are underneath his persuasion are forever going to war against God. And presently, the devil's modus operandi is to war against God by undermining an institution that God has ordained for our good.
Since marriage is vital to God's design for ordered society, sensible civilization able to enjoy common grace, since marriage is by God's design, his way to pass on order, to pass on peace, to pass on temporal blessing, and even to pass on righteousness from one generation to the next, family has always been under assault.
Let us for a moment think like devils, and we're going to do that by taking a page out of the Screw Tape Letters. You recall C.S. Lewis's book, very funny in some regards, but very insightful, imagining how devils, how demons, how Satan thinks. What is their agenda? And what is their motivation? They hate God, and so they hate us, and they want to undermine the institutions that God has put in place, lose any social constructs, remove shame so that people behave more wickedly. Why? Because wickedness is something that God hates, and because they hate him, they love it when evil flourishes. That is what they are up to. And so we can imagine that if the devil was strategizing in the 20th century how to get at the God that he hates, how to take this country, which basically operated with Christian principles regarding the structure of the family, a mom, a dad, children who are obedient, how could he go about the business of doing away with this foundational institution? Well, if you're a wily demon, and he most certainly is, you would not start out by introducing Bruce Jenner. You wouldn't have Ellen DeGeneres, not up front. No. He's smarter than that. He doesn't bite off more than he can chew. He starts out incrementally, and he chips away at it, just weaseling away at the foundation until the institution of marriage crumbles. And that is precisely what we are seeing right now. And perhaps you're asking the question, but why marriage? Why go after that? Why not just have people act like, woo-woo, it's a party out there and let's just have sex, drugs, and rock and roll? It is because the devil realizes what marriage is and what marriage does.
Families provide a small, sovereign unit that acts as a small barrier against the corruption that seeks to dominate. Shatter the family, destroy the family, and the small sovereign barrier is disintegrated.
Boom! There it is! That's why he's going after marriage and families. Does he want sin to reign? Absolutely. But what is the best way to have that happen on a grand scale? Well, you get rid of this little wall of defense, this little societal structure that God has ordained called the family, and you have just lit the fuse to mass debauchery.
The goal in all of this is not homosexual same-sex marriage. The goal is the total elimination of all marriage, which then means that you don't possess any privacy. You don't have that small sovereign unit, and your children are not yours. They're public children, and they belong to the education system, and they belong to the country, and they belong to the village, but not to you. And so when they're 15 in the state of Oregon, they can have a sex change without telling their parents, and the state will do it and pay for it. This is not about same-sex marriage. This is about the total obliteration of the family, so that there will be no more family, no more covenants, no more private sovereign units that stand up against the corruption.
That is what is really happening. Needless to say, the stakes are far greater than just, and those are big stakes, than just the institution of marriage.